Hello everyone, and welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium. We're back. We're stealing a topic from our pals over at the Champions Cast. They recently did an episode on DLC ideas that they had for Age of Calamity, and it apparently got the wheels turning in your head.
Yeah, they talked a lot about story elements that they'd like to see and how it could possibly connect with Breath of the Wild 2 or
Okay.
like that kind of stuff, or previous games.
I will say, I might as well get it out there, because I don't think your ideas are as much to do with that.
No.
But I did have, while I've been playing Breath of the Wild lately, I've had random encounters of things, where they discuss, backstory things of the game. Like, you find out some lore here and there. And I would think it would be cool if they were just, if they released kind of a, it doesn't even necessarily have to be, we don't have to worry about, actual, canon or lore. Just, a, Hyrule Legends, where it's, you can maybe play some of these moments from the history. And I'll give one example, which is when you're making your way to Zora's Domain, you can kind of read about the history of Zora's Domain on the tablets. And there's one great story where they talk about the Zora King defending the bridge from a Lionel or a Guardian or something, and they make it sound so epic, and they make him sound really cool, and you only ever see him kind of just sitting there
on his
talking.
Throne, yeah.
So he would be a cool bonus DLC character, and maybe you play a story or a little mission that.
Those could be good in the challenges. There's the challenges tab where it's ripe for that, and just put some story elements within the challenges. Why not?
Yeah. So I'd like to see some nice one-off stories. I think of how they've kind of had some DLC with Cadence over the years, where they've made kind of some unique story DLC. So I think they could do that with Breath of the Wild, and there's a lot of ripe settings. I think there's a lot of locations too that'd be kind of cool, like the Forgotten Temple or whatever.
Yeah,
to kind of see.
That seems like an odd one that they didn't include.
Well, I think because even in that location, there's not they don't really talk about it in the game, do they?
No, not really. No.
Whereas for Hateno, there is some backstory. The Kala Citadel, there's actual story. Whereas this, you don't really know.
Yeah.
So maybe that would dispel some of the mystery, but it could be a cool mission, It could be
a cool, very linear mission where you're going through the Tanagar Canyon.
Yes.
Because it's a long, narrow street. I love that area.
Yeah, it's very cool. So
Andy on the Champions has suggested using the power cycle or the master cycle.
Oh yeah, that would be a great addition, I think, totally.
And it would work perfectly in the Tanagar Canyon.
Because it's very linear, yeah.
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
So
I can see a bunch of master cycle levels.
Yeah.
But then maybe that's becoming a different game.
Yeah. Well, maybe they used the Divine Beast levels. I think that was one of the the ideas they had suggested.
That was a great idea, guys.
Yeah. What's Andy, what's the old saying? A broken clock is right twice a day.
Twice a day, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel about
Andy is about right 2 times in 1 hour, I would say, yeah. Is that charitable?
Yeah. So I've got a few ideas. So the story of Age of Calamity didn't really move me too much. I know we talked about it in our definitive ranking. It was fun. It was nice, but it's a very gameplay oriented game, I feel. And I feel that a lot of the things they did, I feel there were some missed opportunities with some of the things. So I've 100% of the game at this point. I've completed every challenge. And I was honestly a little disappointed in some of the challenges. You've done a handful of the challenges, right? There's one in particular, I think it's called, Defend Fort Hateno.
Okay.
And it's you look at the map, and it's the map of the area, and there's, there's massive enemies all over the place. And, the actual, mission is you got to go beat Harbinger Ganon and Aster, and then you fight Calamity Ganon again. While things occasionally attack Fort Hateno.
Yeah.
And it's you got to just keep in mind that you have to defend that fort. But Fort Hateno will never fall in this mission. It's like a 10-minute mission, and you have to. It's you're chasing the time as opposed to the collapse of Fort Hateno.
Yeah.
But I think a level where it is like an enemy gauntlet where like defend Forte Tenno was like you, and maybe it's co-op because you can have another character, and there's just like, oh, they send in some Malice Guardians or something early. It's like something not crazy difficult, but like there's just this endless like nothing but enemies just flowing into this, and you have to defend it for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is. And then at the end, like the blights come in, and like you can mix and mash enemies that don't normally like see each other.
Sure.
Like you got Aster, but then there's a Stone Talus next to you or something, and it could work really well with like 2-player mode too, because it's like there's multiple entrances, and something a little bit more unique than just go kill Calamity Ganon or go kill Thunderblight Ganon for the 8th time. But I just feel some more uniqueness with the challenges that are just more than just kill 300 Bokoblin and then a big enemy shows up.
Yeah.
Like I think they can do a lot more.
Yeah, I did like some of the story missions of like you gotta escort someone somewhere, but you're still doing a lot of the same thing. I mean, even in the mission you're describing, it's
a lot of the
same thing.
That's what the game is, though.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend it's anything more than that.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
they should use that as an advantage. Just usually it's your character running and killing 1,000 enemies, but make it the other way. It's sort of like
they're coming towards you.
Yeah,
okay.
Just like, and I can imagine a cutscene of like this army of moblins just showing up. Like 8 moblins at the same time coming in. Like,
okay, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
And they kind of left, like they made this game with the intention that there's going to be a lot of DLC.
Yeah.
I could tell, because even when you look at the challenges and you look at the missions, it's like this is suggested for levels 71 to 80 or 61 to 70. There is nothing suggested for anything in the 80s or 90s, but your character goes up to level 100. So there's clearly going to be more intense challenges coming up.
Yeah.
Along those lines, it is absolutely 100%. You heard it here. I've confirmed with Iji Aonuma himself. There's going to be gold enemies.
Right,
like they're gonna make stronger enemies, which I'm not exactly looking forward to. I would much rather. They talked about this in the Champions Cast too, but like some more unique enemies would be nice. And you know what? They did Age of Calamity. It's connected with Breath of the Wild. I don't think the DLC necessarily needs to be connected with Breath of the Wild, though. Do you feel like?
Well, I have some thoughts on that, definitely. But you're talking about the idea of bringing in outside enemies.
Like, I think of you don't even have to do a lot of work in this case, but bring some of the greatest hits from original Hyrule Warriors over.
Yeah.
Fight, let's go fight Manhandla. Let's fight King Dodongo. I mean, I'm not saying, just literally copy paste, but
that's kind of what they did with the game, except they did some new character models, but they did kind of just, if it was an asset in Breath of the Wild, it's an asset in this game,
Yeah. That is the main game, but now we're in DLC. I think they can expand and they kind of did that with games like Hyrule Warriors, where they just we're just gonna pull from Wind Waker in the DLC now. Like, okay,
yeah.
And I know that game was a little different, but like even like Cadence, and they pull like the latest DLC was a lot of like Majora's Mask related stuff.
Well, I can see, because a lot of those, what I was thinking was a lot of those Hyrule Warriors bosses were in the original Legend of Zelda, and I thought there actually is kind of a connection. People always compare like Breath of the Wild to Legend of Zelda, and it's like openness and freedom of exploration, and I was thinking, why not do a bonus Hyrule Warriors thing, Calamity, Age of Calamity thing, where you kind of reference that,
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a classic mode,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, why not?
And it is, because there are enough unique, I would love to see some of those, like a Gleeok or something like that.
Yeah, some of them, and they don't have
Aquamentus.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love, and there's so much that they haven't like touched yet. That Hyrule Warriors really had like the 8 big bosses or something, but like there's so much more. You can draw stuff from, you can have Odolwa just show up or something. He's like a boss.
Well, I was thinking too, so like another side idea I had was maybe a mode where you kind of get to and you could even treat it as like this is in that time period, because the canonicity or whatever is questionable. But I would like to see something that maybe has some classic Zelda characters.
Okay.
But it's like believable that maybe they could have existed during the backstory of Breath of the Wild, the Calamity War or whatever, like Tingle or something like that. Like, you know, if Beetle is in Breath of the Wild, characters like that, there's, you know, no reason that it's not unreasonable to believe like some of these other classic characters might have been around, you know.
Saharasla.
Sure. Yeah, a classic reoccurring character. He's been in 2 games, I guess. But I think that could be neat to see some of these like iconic staple Zelda characters, like, but in the Breath of the Wild style.
Okay.
Like, why not? You know,
yeah.
Same thing with those bosses too. Like, not just copy paste them from, like the other Hyrule Warriors. Like, I just want to see what a Breath of the Wild version of Tingle would look like.
Okay.
Oh boy. You know, but yeah, I don't know. Same thing with that. We got to see what the old man would look like in Breath of the Wild.
Right, yeah. So we did see that. Along those lines, are there any like characters that come to mind that you think should be in like DLC?
Well, that was one definitely.
Tingle,
yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking like it's a little different than Hyrule Warriors, where it was like it's a free for all.
Okay.
And like, let's take anyone. So I was thinking of like, who is a iconic reoccurring like classic Zelda character, and that's like who came to my mind first, even though some people might think that's silly. But so I don't really have a second after that. Were there any that you thought of?
Yeah, this might not sound like Zelda fans might not like this one, but I think they should bring Lana back.
Oh, I was gonna mention that separately. Why not? Okay, if we're opening up that can of worms, I think there should be, because we're talking about how I use the Cadence as a comparison. How they did like, here's a Skull Kid one, here's an Octavia one, like, and they're kind of their own separate little mini things. Why not have a little mini story that ties into all of the original Hyrule Warriors? Linkle. Like, have Linkle, Sia, or whatever, Lana. Like, why not just have it could be its own separate thing, you know, because we've already established that this game is a little bit out there anyway, and it doesn't have to, you know, it can be just like how they justify the story on Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, and I remember amongst the staff, Locke and I, we were kind of like fan theorizing that Terraco, is that his name? Terraco?
Yeah.
Terraco, and I guess Dark Terraco or whatever.
Sure.
Like, maybe they're the embodiments of Lana and Sia.
Okay.
It's the same,
sure.
Throw something in there. Mm-hmm. But like, Lana is, I feel like, a character she's like the main character in Hyrule Warriors. Like, totally fits in this world. Like, you can easily throw her in here, and she already has her character model and her play style, and you can change some things up a little bit. But
yeah,
I feel like that's a fun character to include, and I think it's a good throwback. And
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's like an endless amount of like prior Zelda characters that you could include. I don't know. I don't want this to turn into like a Super Smash Brothers game. It's like, who are they going to include? Like, I'd rather.
Yeah.
I'm more excited about the gameplay possible changes and whatnot.
Yeah, that's why I was sort of pitching that as its own like separate little condensed thing where it's like a thematic set of characters and like missions or whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Legend of Zelda, as opposed to just like, okay, and now for this you can download Marin or whatever, Yeah. Which I think yeah, maybe they do a Link's Awakening one.
Yeah.
But that sort of thing made sense for the last Hyrule Warriors, and I think they will have, stuff like that, maybe like more Breath of the Wild characters.
I think more likely is we'll get to play as like Aster. He'll be a playable character.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I can totally see like a story, like 3 or 4 missions with him, and he's got like his rise to power kind of story. That could be like I think that's a lock, actually. That's for sure gonna happen.
Sure. That goes along with there was like the Octavio thing for Cadence. Yeah, and I think there's just still like unused stuff from Breath of the Wild you could hit at, or there's the dragons. You can see them really. I don't know what they would, not as characters. They're too big, probably, but maybe as like
bosses
or a setting. Maybe on top of one or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Tame Nadra or something.
yeah, totally.
And you play as a divine beast or something to that. There's a lot of setting areas. Like there's going to be some new levels. We know that. Mm-hmm. A lot of iconic settings that were not used. Mm-hmm. I know in the Champions they talked about Eventide Island, like why that was not in this game.
Yeah.
But the whole Lurelin village area is like not even referenced. The Great Bridge of Hylia, is it called? The Bridge of Hylia, or Lake Hylia. That whole nothing really in that area is utilized. You don't really go to Rito Village, even though there's a level called Rito Village.
Yeah,
that was a little awkward though because of the layout.
Kind of awkward as a battlefield.
Yeah, maybe you just play as like Rivali and it's just a flying level or something. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's definitely some settings that I feel like they didn't. And we mentioned the Tanagar Canyon and the Lost Temple or Forgotten Temple.
Yeah.
So there's still, I think a handful of locations.
Mm-hmm. And maybe there could be like, I don't think it's story-wise it's going to connect to anything in the future, but maybe they could drop something in there that's like a teaser type thing.
For like, Breath of the Wild
like
2?
Maybe like, hey, check out this new exclusive enemy that will be in Breath of the Wild 2 or something.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's gonna connect about as much as it does to Breath of the Wild 1, really.
Yeah.
In how much it actually is fits in the timeline or anything like that. Yeah.
The one thing I would say with the original Hyrule Warriors, when they released so much DLC, and every one of their DLC packs was so bulky, and there was a lot of content there, that if you liked the original game, which I loved the original game, and like I put 300-400 hours into it, and like. All the DLC packs, I think, were good value. So I'm very confident that whatever they do end up doing, it's going to be worth. If you're a fan of Age of Calamity, I think you're going to like it.
Yeah, I'm excited by the prospect. Especially if it is something unique I could get behind. Though, even though I was kind of mixed on the game, I was interested in that game enough to like maybe play a couple of unique storylines or side things.
Okay. I was interested enough where I've played the whole game.
Well,
100%.
Yeah.
But it's not great. But it's just fun. I used to describe the original Hyrule Warriors as the most exceptionally mediocre game that I couldn't stop playing.
I've described other games like this, and maybe uncharitably so, and I think this really applies to this game, that it's the most okay game I've ever played.
It's very okay. It's fun to play. It's not great, but I keep playing it.
Well, there you have it. That's our take on it. Let us know in the comments what ideas you have, characters, stages, modes. There's probably other modes that could be out there too.
There's a lot of unrealistic stuff that I think we can dream. Why there's no online co-op is crazy to me, because
that's not unrealistic to think they could add, though.
I think if it would have been in the base game if they were going to do that. I don't think that's in.
We've seen them add stuff to games before that we felt like should have been in the base game. So.
I mean, if there was an online co-op of this, that can open up missions that are specifically designed for that, and I think it'd be crazy, especially if you can play 4 players or something, and each player has, there's so many possibilities with that in the future, I think. Maybe with another game. I don't know if that's DLC or if that's
Age of Calamity 2.
It'll be a Hyrule Warriors 3 Age of Calamity 2. First blood.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, leave us a comment with your ideas. Give us a like and subscribe if you liked our video. And thanks for watching.